Well, here we are, my friend. We're halfway done, and we got a lot of neat things to talk about on, what is it?
We can call it the wrap up. Let's just call it the Greg
Wrap up?
Silver Show.
Yeah. I like to say that. I'm glad for you. Hey, bottom line is, we're looking at the 6A districts, and a lot of things happen. And this is the way it works. Every week we think we know what we're talking about, and some weird thing will happen to make it more interesting. And that's kind of cool, because if it was pretty cut and dry, man, it wouldn't be that fun to watch.
Yeah, you see like certain games that we see, we're like, okay, we know that's going to happen, and then it goes the opposite way, and then all of a sudden you're, okay, we'll roll with it, and then we pick them the next week, and it goes back.
And it shows you that this is not an exact science, man. I mean, and here's the thing, and it's not for the kids or the teams either. At this point in time, you think you have an identity established, but you got to keep it going week by week. And quite frankly, that's why the coaches say it's a long season, it's a long haul, and many twists and turns along the way. Speaking of which, in District 36A, boy, how about that La Jolla defense? You and Kevin and Rob. I noticed you got another cat on the show, my homeboy.
Yeah, Rob Butler.
Excellent. You guys were waxing poetic about the La Jolla defense, and lo and behold, 14-13 win.
Incredible too, because I actually, McAllen ISD called me, asked me if I would help out with that game.
Right.
Mario Reno was in Washington, D.C., accepted an award.
Oh.
And so, I went to that game. I did it with Mark May. And
Mark May, there's a name from the past.
yeah, by the way, he does stats similar to you, not like you, but
Me and Mark May, back when the world was young, did a show back on KMBH over in Harlingen.
Oh,
yeah, he was a guest a couple
okay.
times. Yeah, he was very knowledgeable. One of the nicest guys I know.
Yeah, we did the game, and McAllen in control. La Jolla hadn't had a first down in almost 3 quarters.
Wow.
End of the third quarter, they put it together, and I'm going to say this right now because I know he's going to watch. Joe Moreno, your son, is the truth.
He can play, man. Yeah, he can do it from multiple directions. He can carry the ball, he can catch the ball. They, quite frankly, I don't think they're going to be able to live and die on the defense entirely. So a kid like Moreno is going to have to continue to contribute, and so far so good. Now, we've talked about a lot of guys on the La Jolla defense so far. Their linebackers, Hernandez and Chapa, are good, but I would come up with another couple of names. This kid, 51, Carlos Silva, all right? Against McAllen, he had 2 sacks. He's a defensive lineman. He had 6 for the season. And behind the linebackers is a kid named Jonathan Gomez. So they got some guys. Bernie De La Rosa, Leo. They have some established seniors, but they also have that second level of guys who are coming on. So right now, man, La Jolla's they're off, and they picked up a big win, and they're going to look and see what the other teams in the district do.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this, McAllen working him for almost 3 quarters. It looked, very impressive. What McAllen was able to do. Gunnar Henderson looked like he was in full stride coming back from St. Joe. And then all of a sudden, La Jolla, had been getting torched on the inside on these little draws where they were getting McAllen, I'm trying to remember what his name is.
Martinez?
No, starts with a Y, his last name.
Yarto.
Yeah, Yarto. Cole Yarto, I think, must be his brother.
Sander Yarto. It's Cole Yarto's brother. Both long, lanky kids.
He was getting yardage up middle. And then McAllen was, really like torching because La Jolla runs like a 3-3-5 and they're running a bunch of corners. Yeah. And then
so the middle then is open to
if you can break through, and their line was killing it, and then all of a sudden they shored that up, and then they started to get a little momentum going, and Joseph Moreno's touchdown over the top. Look, I didn't see him throw that much at all. And all of a sudden, it just drops into his arms in the end zone. It was a beautiful catch.
And I think that the theme of the night would probably be the adjustment. Because you always hear coaches say, well, we made adjustments at halftime. And there are some coaches that came well prepared for their games. Actually, they all have a game plan. They all have the deal. It's a combination of adjustment and execution. And when we get down to the 5 guy, I've got quite a bit to say about that. Because I saw Pioneer, and it's been a while since I've seen the coaching staff do such an incredibly good job.
And the coaching staff that we knew pretty well.
Absolutely, man. All right, so then, Palmview, I told you that was a better team than they showed, and lo and behold, they went and beat Lincoln 14-7. Lincoln is playing good defense, but those offensive guys that we know are capable, not quite getting to the end zone probably as often as they need.
Yeah, and this is a team that I don't want to say, there's a bunch of juniors, sophomores from last year that I think they almost have this identity crisis. Like, wait, everybody knows about us now. Last year it was almost like they could sneak up on people. I was the first one. I made a joke in the beginning.
Right, I know. Yeah, and they made the playoffs.
Yeah, they made the playoffs. And this year it's almost like a letdown year. And you don't need this right now.
No.
Especially for a bunch of juniors that have made it to the playoffs. you want to keep building that, especially for a program like that. And you never know how many guys you're gonna have.
What do we always say? It's easy to try and be a winner, but once you get there, it's hard to stay there.
Yeah.
You know, but my dad used to say, you can go first class, but you probably just can't stay that long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I expect them still to be competitive in that district. We'll talk about their game in a minute. But let's talk about Palmview, man. They did a pretty good job. Now they're playing a road team. They won that non-district game. They weren't incredible, but they continued to break some plays, and now they're 5-0, and that's one of the teams of the first half.
Yeah, and look, getting this win, because we were talking about Palmview almost as an afterthought.
Right. Not anymore.
And then, you get one win in this district, and not saying that it's not a good district, but it's not a good district. It's not a very tough district, let's just say that much.
It's competitive.
It's competitive.
It's balanced.
And parity, yes.
Parity,
yeah.
yes.
But, besides, I think, Rowe and Memorial, you really can say that there's a lot of parity on the bottom half.
Yeah, which means anybody can make it, and that's good.
Yeah.
McAllen advances from that narrow loss in which they had the upper hand for a while. Now they'll play Memorial. So Memorial, after getting 70, then they got 45. And I'll tell you what I like about the Mustangs. They've given up 161 points this year, but this was the first game against Mission where they didn't give up that many points. It was 45-6. In other words, they finally kept teams out of the end zone, and you got to do that, man, if you don't win these big games.
Yeah, and I watched the highlights today, or the game tape actually. Watched the game tape today, and you'll see in the game sometimes the Mission QBs. I mean, you're talking about they're pretty green. He was wrapped up by the defender. Just go down, man. Just go down. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he threw the ball back and picked off and fumble, recovered for a touchdown both times. So
how do you teach your kid to be smart about when to fight for extra yards? I've seen it in many games this season where it's just extra effort, and sometimes you can break free and you go down to the house. But a lot of times you try to do too much, and the veterans will know when to take a shot and when to not go down per se. But I know what you mean. I mean, in other words, be smart about things.
Yeah, and we've seen some quarterbacks in the past, and this year, they're running out. They're going to get, sacked. They throw the ball away.
Diego was good at that.
Yeah.
Hernandez from Mets. Yeah. He's real smart about knowing what he can do when.
And then you see some quarterbacks that they just don't know. They either run out of bounds or they take the sack.
Or when they're running out of bounds, they throw it away and it's a pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes it boils down to, and as a basketball coach, we always talk about basketball IQ. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a football IQ. And sometimes you just got to know when to hold them.
Yeah.
Know when to fold them.
Know when to walk away.
Yeah, know when to run.
Yes, very beautiful.
Not bad. All right, so
we're doing Ebony and Ivory next week.
It could be, although we're a little bit short on each one. Mm-hmm. So, all right, McAllen at Memorial. I like the kid Bagstad as a junior. He's got 10 tackles last game.
Yes.
He's got a ton of tackles on the season. You know about Lauda. You know about Joey Legato. Which one of those other kids is going to be a star? And so right now, the kid's making a lot of tackles, man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tackles.
Yeah, this game's interesting because they've only had about 2 weeks to get Gunnar Henderson back into the mix. And then last week at the end of their quarterback situation was a little iffy at Mackay. They got Gunnar Henderson and put him in Wildcat.
Yeah.
I almost think that a lot of the times you might want to, especially on a 2-way clock when you're playing a team like Memorial, you might need to put him at Wildcat.
Adjustments. Theme of the night. What do? You're halfway through the season. You got points on the curve. What personnel decisions will be made? I'm always a big fan looking on the other side of the ball. When you get to 31-6, I'll tell you a couple of my suggestions. Of course, it means very little because I don't know anything. But the good thing is that the camera's pointed at us.
Yeah.
Now, Mission at Lincoln. This is the game. You say, why is it the game of the week? But you know me, I always do that. Mm-hmm. Because the team that loses is going to be 0-3, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's it, time right there. I mean, you really have to turn the corner really quick. And for Mission, they've had a lot of injuries. And, for them, putting this new system in, it's been a little bit difficult. I mean, I think a lot of people in Mission probably thought Coy was going to come in and all
they're going to the 4th round again. And they may well do that in a couple of years, maybe next year. But right now, man, it's not working for Mission. So here's the thing. How do you sustain the momentum and the belief in the program when you look at that little 0 next to your name in the paper and everybody knows what that means? You ain't won a game, in district and won and overall. So, I mean, it's going to be a character test for both of these teams because they don't want to drop to 0-3 and they want to be able to make their fans and parents happy and go off the field with the win, man. So one of them's going to do it because there ain't no ties no more.
Yeah.
Right? Although didn't Palmview have a tie couple years ago?
Yeah. Look, here's the one thing. You look at this. I was in the Mackay-La Jolla game last week. I said, Mackay's going to have to score more than 16 points to beat them because their defense, La Jolla's defense is the best one in the district. Juarez is right behind them.
Yeah, they are.
They're right up there. I mean, with the holding guys, they just can't score right now.
No, they got to get in the end zone, man. And see, I think they have the weapons to do it. That means that I think that Lincoln is probably a favorite to win the game. However, like I said, man, I mean, mission's a prideful program. Let's see if they can't turn it around because they're starting to dwindle on offense. They really have not scored a lot of points lately.
Yeah.
Of course, neither is Lincoln. What is it going to be, 76? I mean,
Yeah, so-
like a 70s game.
I think we saw, what was it, 2 years ago where it was 3-2 Mission in Edinburgh.
2-0.
Oh, 2-0, yeah, 2-0.
A late two-run homer on a block punt.
Yeah.
I remember that game. It was
So-
the rain coming down.
Yeah, it was a very, very painful game.
Yeah, it was a painful game in many ways.
But
Let's
that's 36A right there.
Let's stick with the Bobcats. In 31-6A, Edinburgh High, of course, they had the big win over Economides, and they didn't give themselves a chance against Baylor, did they?
Shot themselves in the foot.
Oh, man.
You know, mistakes after mistakes, and we'll talk about this in 5A when we talk about Mercedes and Brownsville Vets game. But Edinburgh, just too many turnovers right there. You can't give a team like Bella a lead.
Well, let me give you the skinny on that, man, because I was sitting there watching it. Boy, there's a huge crowd of red on the home side. The Bobcats brought back the band, the Sargenettes from all the way back in the day. One of my good friends' mother, Mrs. Wallace, Rennie Wallace from the 1940s, was a Sargenette, and she was 84 years old, and she was the liveliest dancer out there on the field at halftime. Just a great night. But the football was abysmal because the Bobcats turned the ball over 4 times in the first 7.5 minutes, and Baylor turned every one of those into a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 28-0 in the first quarter, and I hate to say it, but it was game over, and everybody knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, I feel like they could have competed on an even keel to an extent. I'm not willing to go so far as you cats did on the show and said they're going to win.
Oh, I said I like Bella.
Kevin crazy.
Yeah.
But I still think that they could have made a better account, and they did after that initial abysmal onslaught. Okay, they did kind of dig in and make some plays, but man, if you give 4 turnovers to a bad team, you're probably going to lose. But if you give 4 turnovers to a good team that wants to beat your butt, man, you forget it.
Yeah. And I don't think now after that Jags game that Edinburgh won, I can't imagine anybody's going to take them lightly now because
They know what they're capable of.
Yeah, and that's your upset right there for the district. So everybody else is going to be waiting for it. Especially Bella, you're playing a rivalry game, all the controversy throughout the week. And with those 5 kids getting caught. I mean, 4.
You can't help yourself.
Yeah, I can't.
There was a lot right.
There's a lot of issues there. So they had to come out with a 100% game, and they didn't come out with that.
Well, let me tell you what I noticed that was interesting from the game. Besides the result, besides all the shenanigans, the Bobcats have a good running back. Okay, modest, and Saul Ramirez is a nice change of pace back. What they don't do, because Jerry Zay is still out, they don't stretch the field very well. And so what happens if you can't get vertical, then the defense comes up. It's like if you can't shoot from the outside, they come and guard you, right? Or they run a zone. So, I look across the field and I see this big athlete with hands and speed, and his name is D'Anthony Alvarez.
Yes.
And I started asking myself, and of course this is not to say that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm picking on the coaches. I love those guys and they know I respect them. That ain't it. But I'm the media, I can do it on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can make a good receiver.
Yeah.
Because he's fast,
Yeah.
and he can catch, he can punt, he can return kicks. Now here's the thing, if you want to put a kid from defense on offense, it ain't that easy. I'll just go in there and play receiver, he ain't Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
It's going to take reps, it's going to take time. Go ahead.
But, I got to coach Sal Martinez for basketball.
I was just going to mention him in the game too, by the way.
You just give them, you tell them, you're going to have this route, and this route.
Yeah, don't make it simple.
Yeah.
Go down the field, kid, and out-jump somebody. Here's my thing. You can't, but here's what you can't do. You can't just put them in for a play or 2 at a time because they know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So what you do is you put them in for a series or 2 and don't throw them the ball.
Yeah.
And then when everybody's like, oh, okay, that's no big deal, then you throw them the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I'm not saying that Edinburgh is desperate because it's not. It's 1-1, man. They're right in the race. They beat PS State Memorial this week. They're right there. But unless Jerry can come back, and he's even more of a jet sweep guy, they just need to find a way to stretch the field.
Yeah.
I mean, Abel Alonso had a relatively accurate short, but I've seen him throw a deep ball. He's not going to throw it 70 yards.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they know Nathan's coming.
Yeah.
And so, but there's not a lot of other things that happen with that offense, so you got to get some diversity, man.
Yeah, you need a stretch route so you can throw on the inside, or a 10-yard pass, a drag.
Even if it's, here's the thing, Baylor took away the flats. Remember how I talked about how the flat passes work? They saw that coming, and so then you were left with that's it with Nathan. He was a good back. He's a hard running kid. I like him. He gets you 100 yards every game. He got 100 yards against Baylor. But as many options as possible that you can throw at a team, that means you'll have more chances of success. All right. And again, I'm not trying to say that that's what they should do, but it just struck me. I was looking at DeAnthony. I'm like, man, that kid is athletic. I wonder if he can catch. You know, he can catch a punt. He can catch an interception. So it's easy to say, and it's harder to do because you can't take a kid who's been working for 9 weeks on X and all of a sudden you say he's Y.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that easy. So.
And we've seen it too, where they put like Trevor Spates at safety.
Oh my God, he's incredible. He makes one tackle.
Yeah. You know, it's a little bit easier when you're coming from offense to defense, but when you want to have to learn, you know, precision routes that it takes to actually run to be a receiver, it's a little bit more difficult.
I think the Bobcat offensive line did a decent job in the game. Okay, they didn't pass the ball very well, but I thought they, once they got over that early hiccup, they competed. Now, what I see with Vela, well, obviously Christian Flores is very good. But how about Buchheiter, man? They put the backup quarterback in. The kid runs for 51 yards on 12 carries. He's a big kid, okay? He's a solid, thick, big kid. And yet he has some jukes. I mean, he wasn't just kind of plowing into the line, man. He made some moves. He looked good.
Yeah.
He looked real good.
Now, the question is, like, how, well, I mean, if he gets hurt, you have somebody you can bring in, but also...
Yeah, they got another kid over home. So.
Do you move him to... receiver, can you mix them up like we've seen it with other programs?
What do they say? Kid, you want to get on the field? Or you're a tackle? Or you're a guard? Or you're a quarterback? In other words, be ready to do whatever. You want to play the game. I was impressed with him. Vela is running the ball more this year than ever before. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
He has like 350 yards on the ground, man.
Yeah.
They pound you. Problem. Jaime Alanis, great offensive tackle. By my money, maybe the best in the Valley. An unspecified injury. You're looking at his hamstring, then he was his knee and leg. I don't quite know what it is, but man, without that guy, that changes the dynamic a little bit. I still feel it's a very good line without him, but don't take away the best player and expect to get the yards that you get.
Yeah.
So I want to see whether he's recovered. The kicker got hurt. Austin Garza got hurt. He got popped on.
Kicked too many
field
times.
goal. Yeah, I haven't seen that. That's good. Well, and so and he had a direct hand in one of the turnovers. He kicked a squib kick off of up man and bing, they got the ball and he went down and scored. So those things start to kind of eat away at your effectiveness. I still feel the team has what it takes to win district. Nathan Garcia, they're not stretching the field. That's the one thing that I'm going to say. He was like 17 out of 21, very efficient. But if you don't stretch the field, eventually you play those teams that are fast in the playoffs, and you're not going to have them things you have. So if you don't have the capability of getting vertical, man, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's all I'm telling you. I'm not trying to tell them anything again. My buddies, they were cool, but I just noticed that nobody's getting downfield. And that's the problem with the spread. The spread is great unless you're at the 20 or at the 5 when you need to go under center. The spread is great until you play a team with speed. We're going to get to Pioneer. The spread is great until you really want to try to run power football. So if it was me, I would run about a fourth of my plays under center. I know that kind of sounds weird, but I mean, I've seen so many teams get behind center when they need to and they fumble the snap.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to it, man. It feels weird under there, which it kind of feels weird anyway. Right?
Yeah. Well, and think about this too. The first round, murder's row because you're going to go play 32-6A, which, look, I mean,
the fourth place team will be good.
Yeah. The sixth place team will be awesome too. They're good too.
When you get into that second and third round, though, you'll see speed that will shut down that West Coast offense to an extent. So you must get vertical. And you must not do it 11th, 12th week. You've got to learn to do it now.
Yeah.
So let's see about adjustments and which team will begin to be more diverse. That'll be one of the fun things to watch. So PSJ Memorial 0-5. They only scored for 20 points. They got a lot of sophomores.
Yeah.
They got a sophomore, Munoz, a quarterback. This is the guy's name. I've never seen it in my life. Morquecho. I hope he's a receiver, and he is. Get it? Morquecho? Yeah, that's sweet. That's great.
Right.
They're coming, man, and they're going to play better. But right now, it's pretty tough over there. See, that's a winnable game for the Bobcats. Okay?
Yes.
And they won it the last couple of years. Even when they were really down, they still beat Memorial. So unless they get really complacent or have a problem, I expect them to squeak that one out. You're 2-1. You say 4 wins get you in.
Yeah, and PSJ lost 2 in a row now. Maybe they become.
Southwest is 1-1.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, man, there's a big group forming not at the rear but in the middle. PSJ is on that little streak. They're not scoring as much. They play corner minutes. The Jaguars got it back together, scored 42. Only gave up 6, and it's on a Thursday. And so they will welcome the Bears to town on a Thursday. I'm intrigued to see some of those guys from the Bears.
Yeah. Now the question is, which team do we see from the Jags? Do we see the team that played Edinburgh that was pass happy, or do we see the team that we saw against West Central East?
Let's call the trainer.
Yeah.
Because he's going to tell you whether Medellin is ready to go. And if he's ready to go, it'd be a long night for Bears.
Yeah.
Because that guy can get it, man. He's fast, he's a sprinter. and he can get to the corner, and that makes them more diverse. But if not, they're back to being 1 or 2 dimensional, and that has not worked out so well.
Yeah, and keep your comments coming. I'm looking at them right now.
Oh, we got comments?
Yeah, we'll get to them.
Are the Nixon people again? I'm fully prepared to be obsequious and apologize because I really don't want anyone to be mad at me, and I've always had a good time with it.
Yeah.
And expect to do so again. Edinburgh North.
Yeah,
They got
They got it. They finally got they got the win that they needed, and this is where you start rebuilding because think about it like this right now. They lost their first game to Vela. They needed this win. They got it, and this was a game that could have got away from them, and they got it together and.
14-0 lead.
Yeah.
14-0 lead, but Southwest fought back.
Yeah, I actually thought if it wasn't for that pass interference call at the end of that drive in the second half,
Right.
the second quarter, I thought Southwest had a chance to score again and tie it up before the half because I thought the momentum was with them there.
Well, I think it's still a pretty solid team, man. North needed the win like nobody's business, and they were able to get it. Justin Guerra did a good job. I'm going to sneeze here in a minute, so don't be scared out there wherever.
Yeah. Justin Guerra was great. He had those 2 touchdowns.
Anything come out?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's live. But Justin Guerra was good. I mean, I saw him. He looked good. He ran well.
He's fast.
He was able to capitalize on some overplays by PSA Southwest. They came up. PSA Southwest played a great game, minus a couple of those long runs.
They have a couple of big linemen too. I know it's horrible. I feel a red face. 76 and 77. When you have 6 cats, it happens to you sometimes.
Yeah.
One of them got on me before I came in. And, I couldn't turn him down. A little character man, I had to pet him. All right. So Edinburgh North plays at PSJ North. Still yet to be beaten. PSJ North moving along without their running back. But I told you I like Rene Ramirez. Darren Fuentes started to play. He's one of the leading tacklers. You know that? He can do everything. Randy Reyes getting some time at quarterback. They've put a lot of guys in that have experience and got time. But this other kid, Leroy Vasquez, man, where he come from? His linebackers got 30-something tackles. So, no, PSG North is still good.
Yeah.
I feel like they're still going to be contenders to win it.
Yeah, I got to see Marcus Kaufman at the PSG Southwest game.
Was he wearing his pilot's uniform?
No, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Right.
But no, he we talked, and he was pretty confident about that game against PSG. And it's good because you want your coach, even when you lose a Bo Adams, you want them to be confident.
Hey, let the kids know that you believe in them, man. That's what Coach Flores told Oscar Salinas at the condominiums, man. He's having trouble. The coach said, "Hey, let them know you care, really care, and they'll play for you, and they'll do the best they can. They may not win the district, but they'll reach their potential, whatever that is, and you have to be able to settle for that." So yeah, I think PSG North has a good chance. Now, what about Edinburgh North? We're talking about adjustments. So Christian Espinosa goes out with concussion, okay? And Frankie Zuniga comes in.
He looked good.
Yeah, he's a good little player. He really is. He's accurate.
Fast.
He's fast. I mean, the kid's a good player. So what happens when Christian comes back?
That's a good question. Do you want to start rotating into like a wildcat kind of thing where you have a guy that can actually run and pass? Or do you want to just go back to
What you had?
what you had before? Which may be a little skeptical.
Let me tell you this. Christian is a winner, and he's an athlete, okay? He's big. He's fast. He can catch. He's a leading rebounder in basketball. He can go down the court. He's a bull, man, going for the fast break. Wouldn't he be a great tight end?
Yeah.
And again, this is just what we're thinking. We're not, I'm not trying to suggest anything, but the theme is adjustment. So what do you do with personnel when things go a little different? Because you got to get him to play the game. Now, here's the thing. Frankie's small, and, Christian is big, and so he can take a lick. But Frankie seems to be good at avoiding the contact. And I don't mean because he's scared, because he's a tough little guy. But I mean, he's more elusive.
Yeah.
All right.
And we've seen guys like that. It looks like they're gonna get square.
Oh, Nate Garcia, with Vela, very elusive.
And he just rolls away from it.
That's right. So I don't know. I mean, it may well be that since one is a senior and one is a young kid, then you go back to your senior because man, Christian has 1,700 yards last year. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the district. I feel like it could be again, but I would also have no trouble seeing that kid on the field, for 30, 40 plays at tight end because I guarantee who's going to guard him. Who's going to guard the guy? He's 6'2", and he can jump to the moon with hands. He can dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
So my point is that North has options, and so you may make no changes or you may make some changes. Bottom line is, though, this is the time of the year at halfway mark where teams are saying, let's see, what do we got? You look at the defensive line and say, that kid might be a tackle because we got no tackle. Bang, there you go. And those kind of adjustments, see, there's two kinds of adjustments, Jake. One is during the game. Okay, what are they running? What do we got to do? Where are they at? Where's it coming from? And the other is personnel adjustments. And sometimes a well-placed move like that gets everybody happy because both kids are playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We shall see whether that's the case. We're going to roll with whatever it is, man, because, I'm not trying to tell people what to do because my coaching record of lifetime is 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Vela plays at PSG Southwest.
Yes.
So we shall see whether Southwest can come back because, right now they know that's a tough game, man. Vela, say what you want about the squabbles and about the injuries, it's still a damn good football team.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. And PSG Southwest, let's be realistic, from coming up from 5A to 6A, has done well. And this is a team who, in their district, they're pulling from like around the Hidalgo Valley View area. So they've got kids going everywhere, and they've been able to build a really good program. Though they looked really good last week. I thought they had a chance to.
So it's a solid effort. It wasn't like they embarrassed themselves. In fact, they won a lot of supporters by their grit, and they're coming back and almost taking that game. So now against Vela, we'll see if Corona is going to be able to find much room. Becerra, they threw the ball a little bit, so that's impressive. But the Vela defense had its best effort of the season against Edinburgh, man. They gave them 160 something. And they rushed the passer. They get some kids back from injuries. This kid, Josh DeLuna, number 6, made big pressure on the quarterback, and he caused that first interception to Ruiz out on the flat, 7-0, like in a minute and a half. They got this 92, this big new kid on the defensive line, had 6 tackles in the first half. He was a heck of a first half. So Vela's still a very good team. I predict that they're probably going to win that district. I don't want to jinx them, but whatever. The second kicker came in and did a great job. He made his extra points. And look, when you have a team like that has a ton of depth and talent, man, when you say next man up, you're not just using a buzzword.
Yeah.
You're not just using a cliche. That really is the case. And they have 10 or 15 kids on the bench for that school that can play.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in other schools, you look on the bench and all you see is the chicks with a water thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey, look, PSG Southwest does have some speed, though.
Yeah, they do.
If they have Haru from track, what's his last name? Haru something.
Oh, Oscar?
No. I believe he's Japanese.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Burner. Kid
Yeah.
fast as sin. You know what? We're talking about Vela can't stretch the field. Southwest could. You roll him out into the slot, or you roll him out all the way out. But
give him in space, as they say, like Neil Armstrong.
Put him against a linebacker, let them see if they can run with him. And that's the thing too. I really think that they have guys, they have pieces there,
right,
to actually be good.
Now they're going to have to stand up against the bright lights because everybody knows Vela is good. So PSG Southwest. It's not so much the talent right now; it's the character and the ability to stand up and say, "We're not scared."
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how the first quarter goes. That will tell you the tale because the first quarter that Edinburgh had against Vela was not a magical mystery tour, man. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
All right. Going down south, Harlingen South.
Impressive.
Yeah, they got down. Talk about character.
Yeah.
They got down and they came back, and man, that was a pretty big deal against those Fresnos, man.
Yeah, camera guy called me. He said they're texting me. He said they're up 14-0. It looks like a dog game.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I said, go to San Benito. And then all of a sudden, Harlingen South comes back. We have no highlights of their touchdowns.
No, well, yeah,
But hey, what can you say? You get down 14-0 and then you come back.
And here's the thing: when you're not a good team and you get down 14-0, you're out.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a pretty good team that wants to win, not like the other team did want to win, but they didn't have the capability. I think South showed a lot, man. They almost beat the Cardinals. They did come back and beat those Fresnos. Now they're playing at Hannah. See, Hannah's not out. Look, San Benito Harlem's 2-0, but everyone else seems to be 1-1. Almost everybody,
yeah,
except those Fresnos, though.
Yeah.
So South and Hannah. Let's see South. Now here's the thing: you have that great effort to come back, but they got to keep it going, not get complacent, and not make mistakes because Hannah's still not that team.
Yeah, and Hannah played well against Westerville. It was a 0-0 game for a long time, and all of a sudden Westerville gets some turnovers. I was watching the film today.
What's up with Westerville's offense?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Not that much.
Yeah,
lately.
Yeah, it's weird because the slot T has been one of those things that people have a hard time planning for.
It's a machine. They grind out 300-400 yards, and right now, for whatever reason, Westerville is not getting the yards, and then thus they're not getting the point.
Yeah.
East shut them down. They get 21 against Hannah, but it wasn't an offensive feast by any means.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going to go play Harlingen.
Yeah, and
Harlingen did have a feast.
I saw them. I got to see them. And Rivera was playing with their backup quarterback.
Young guy.
Yeah, and so it's a young team. I didn't realize that. So Coach Chavez, it's a young team. So it's a team that's maybe next year. It's maybe the year after that. But for all intents and purposes, Tind is back and Harlingen is back.
62 points, man. Westerville ain't scored that many in the last 3 or 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying Harlingen are going to score 62 because that Westerville defense is good.
And every year it's
That's a
neck
great
and
game.
neck. It's a
Well, it
neck
was
and
3 to
neck.
nothing one
Yeah.
year. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then one year it was 44 to 40. I remember some crazy games in Westerville and Harlingen, man.
Yeah, and you know it's a good game. Where are they at this week? They're at Harlingen. Okay.
Bum, 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 bum.
Because I love it when it's at Bobby Lackey. For some reason, at Bobby Lackey, it always just seems more intense. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but it's at Bogus. Don't get me wrong, I still go there too.
It's a good field, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
No, I love Bogus, but the games I've seen at Bobby Lackey have been stellar.
They're great Mid-Valley football fans, man. Every team's going there and want to beat Weslaco or East. Now, who's going to try to beat East this week? Los Fresnos. Now, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we were saying Los Fresnos one of the best teams in the Valley early on, and right now they're on a 3-game losing streak.
But Mata did not play this game.
That's right.
So that's the
That's
thing.
right.
You know, you're talking about a close game with Harlingen's out without Mata.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's a team with all their pieces. I believe they had 4 guys out that game. So,
If they get them back, then they'll still be competitive. Hey, listen, John Salazar is for real.
Mm-hmm.
Every game he breaks one. He's a breakout guy. He had a 60-some yard run. They even put Sebastian Gonzalez, a linebacker, over there to score a touchdown, just like East did with Pedraza, man. So that's, again, adjustments, versatility. How many kids do you have that can do more than one thing?
Yeah.
Because the more kids you have that can contribute in the more places, then, you know, you got it.
yeah.
All right, so Los Fresnos and East. What about Rivera? Now, you talked about the Raiders playing at San Benito. And there can't be any argument that the Greyhounds are the best team in the Valley right now, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They're hands down the best team in the Valley.
But they had to struggle, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah?
Well,
Pretty good game.
yeah, pretty good game.
East came on back at the end.
Yeah. Here's the thing with East. They're scoring some long plays. They're not really
J.C. Vargas, 56 yards.
But I really thought their defense playing from I was wrong. I thought their defense from playing at Westerville or the Westerville game that it was going to correlate. There was some kind of
And they did take some picks.
Yeah.
The Levante 31, whom I like a lot, Ryan Rodriguez, the other Ryan Rodriguez, the ones at Vela, ones at East, he had a pick. So here's the thing. San Marino showed me something because for the 2 weeks in a row they played a hard team and they made a few mistakes, but they were able to combat it. Again, when your team is good, when you have a champion in the making, you'll come back from mistakes.
Yeah.
First of all, you won't make that many. But second of all, you will find ways to win. They went to Mars, man, with Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
They won the game. Marcelino Morales was the guy who had a big run late in the game and put it away when East was starting to come back. I wish I'd have seen it. It sounds like a great football game.
Yeah. And the thing about East, if they're able to run, it opens up so much because you got Lefevre at quarterback who can pretty much he has a nice toss. They don't pass a lot, but they can with them. And I can't really say that about other quarterbacks that they've had. This is like their first real passing.
Yeah,
kind of
they were always a 2,000-yard factory.
Yeah.
And they had some of the best running backs, 4 or 5 or 6 I can think of, right? Bang, bang, bang in a
Yeah.
row. So nothing is decided in the 6A ranks. I'll tell you again, I was surprised that Vela was able to roll the Bobcats so easily. I was a little surprised that, boy, Harlingen got to 62 points, and I'm still waiting on the Weslaco offense, but I'm not waiting on the La Jolla defense because it's a good unit.
Yes, very much so.
And Roll is 5-0, man. We're having a lot of fun here. Greg Selber, Jake Berry. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 5As, and who knows, with new technology, we may not leave. Who knows?